Hi everyone, One-Eyed Merchant here. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than I've done with my other videos. Recently I subscribed to and I started following another YouTube channel by a user named princeofcups518, and his channel is also on the tarot, and I really liked it and was impressed with his depth of knowledge and study with it. So I proposed to him that we do a reading exchange, and he agreed. So this video is going to be my general reading for the Prince of Cups 518. So for Prince of Cups, here's your reading. For those of you who are not the Prince of Cups, hopefully you find it interesting and useful. I've already shuffled and dealt out the cards. Partially that's because I'm just using this cheap little flip cam. And this is actually the second time that I'm recording this video. I recorded the reading already in full 15 minutes, and the video for some reason didn't record. So hopefully this cheap little flip cam will actually do its job this time. But anyway, since I'm holding the flip cam, I didn't think I could shuffle and deal very effectively, and it would look inelegant, so I am trying to, that's why I've already dealt it out, and I have my candle burning, and I have my hourglass already turned over, and this is the rest of the little melange on my table. So all of those things are set, which is what I like to do before I start reading. The deck that I've chosen to use for the reading is the Victorian Romantic Tarot. Mostly that's because it's summer, and I like to sort of switch up the decks that I use based on the seasons, and to me this is a very summery deck in the way that its colors look. So, the Prince of Cups 518 has asked for just a general reading about his life, and so I used the spread that I tend to use for general readings, which is something I designed myself. Prince of Cups, I know that you tend to use the Celtic Cross, or the opening of the key, but I find the Celtic Cross at least to be overwhelming. Most of my spreads never go above 6 cards, so I hope you don't feel cheated that I only have dealt 6 cards for you. That's actually a lot for me. And so let me go through and explain the positions in the spread really fast before I actually go into the reading, and I've also created my own little cheat sheet. I just wanted to be prepared for this video. So I already dealt out the cards, wrote out what I thought it means so that I don't take up extra time with pauses. Okay, so onto the spread itself. This is the first card in the spread, and it kind of looks like a key, you can see. The first card in the spread, or the head of the key, is what I call waning, or the waning position. So this is something that was a part of your life, but is no longer. It's mostly passed out of existence. Maybe there's a handful of tendrils left, but for the most part, its influence has passed. Its major importance to the spread is that it's primed, or set up, the present. And the present is made up of these two cards, which I call the greater for the upper one, and the lesser for the lower one. And I leave those intentionally ambiguous because I think at different times and in different readings they can mean different things. So sometimes the way to think about them is this is sort of what's being projected outwardly, and this is what is being felt inwardly. Sometimes it's what you do know and what you don't know about the situation. Sometimes it is what is more apparent about the present situation and less apparent about the present situation. It can be all sorts of different things, and you kind of go with whatever seems correct to you in the moment. But they make up the present. And then this position here is waxing. So if this is waning and what's passing out of existence, this is waxing and what's coming into existence. You're just beginning to feel whatever is suggested in this position. It's not really fully manifested itself yet, but you're beginning to sense it's coming up. This position here is kind of a warning position. I call it the unknown, and usually it's saying, hey, pay attention to this. Whatever shows up in this position, it says, hey, pay attention to this, because you're not, and it's important to think about. And then this last position is advice, so how to best handle everything that came before it. Okay, so let's move on to the actual cards themselves. I shuffled and dealt out these cards to you, the first of which is in the waning position, so kind of the past, if you want to think of it that way. And this is the King of Cups. I give an astrological attribution and a title to each of the court cards, and I know that you use Prince of Cups. You use the Golden Dawn attributions, and I don't know. I remember coming across them at one point, but I don't know what they are now. So I'm not sure if this is in line or not with that, but I would ascribe the King of Cups as as Pisces. And to me, basically the way that I do astrological associations is the pages are just their element. They're not any of the signs because they can manifest into any of the signs. They're potential. And then the first 4 signs are the knights. meaning Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer, according to their element. And then the next 4 signs are the queens, according to their element, and then the final 4 signs are the kings, according to their element. And to me, that just makes more sense, and it's what works for me. And then the title that I give the King of Cups is the aesthete. So basically, what's passing out of existence for you is the notion that you were someone, or you were in the position to render aesthetic judgments. People looked up to you in relation to your taste, specifically in relation to art and music and literature and things like that. You sort of commanded power, formally or informally, but you were a tastemaker, and people thought that you were important in relation to that. This is a person who uses emotions quite effectively to lead other individuals, and sort of has an emotional depth about them that gives them great power. So this is the kind of position that you did have, but this is mostly passed by for one reason or another, and instead you've transitioned to something far deeper. The High Priestess here is in your position for the greater, and it seems that you've passed from sort of a real-world application of emotions to a very abstract one. For me, if you've seen my psychoanalysis and tarot video, you know that I think of the High Priestess as the unconscious, or the unconscious. So those things that cannot be signified in language, that can't really be talked about or understood on any kind of cognitive or logical level, but sort of the great mysteries of humankind. I think of her as affect, if you are familiar with the notion of affect. So it's something deeper than emotion. If this person uses emotions quite effectively to render artistic judgments, then this person, or the kind of position you find yourself in, is a very deep, much deeper affective exploration. So the great secrets of what makes people people is what is interesting you now. This was fine, but you're sort of transcending it now, and you're going far deeper in the same emotional realm. But there is, let me check my cheat sheet to make sure that I'm saying everything. Yes. Okay, so there is this this little kernel of practicality that's still here in the present, something that's still tethering you to this world. So again, if you saw my psychoanalysis video, you know that if you delve too far into the High Priestess, too far into the unconscious, it's psychosis. And so there's something that is keeping you tied. You still are seeking out how to maybe practically apply this in the future. It's not so much that this is ruling now, but you know that at some point, because it's an ace and its potential, you know at some point that you're going to want to return with what this exploration involves to the real world itself. And part of that might be because of ambition. To me, the Ace of Pentacles oftentimes signifies ambition, because you need ambition to start any project in the world. And so because, you know, the king is very ambitious, obviously, in a leadership position, so perhaps there's some, even if this position that you held has sort of passed you by, the ambition that you have, the ambition has stuck with you, the ambition to lead, the ambition to return to the world with what you've discovered and share it with other people. And in fact, that's starting to work out for you right now. So what the waxing position, what you're starting to feel but hasn't fully manifested itself, is the Ten of Cups. So to me this is suggesting that this kind of deep exploration of the affective level of human existence is starting to help you understand real-world connections to people. You might find yourself being a bit more feeling a bit more connected to individuals around you, particularly your family. When the Ten of Cups comes up, it usually makes me think of family. But you know, if this person who you were before seeks to lead people by rendering aesthetic judgments and being sort of a tastemaker on art and film and literature and music and stuff, then this is a person who's more about experiencing those sorts of things with others, less about leading them, more about simply being with them in the moment and experiencing those kind of emotional qualities and those things which bring about emotions within human experience itself. And that's also probably because this practicality is keeping you tethered there. So it's starting to work out. You're kind of getting the best of both worlds, this sort of great understanding of deep secrets about humanity, and then also, you know, this concentration on practicality is bringing you to better understanding the relationships that you're currently in and those people who are around you. Now the warning, or the one thing to keep in mind, is that you might have flung yourself a bit too far. And I don't think it's serious, but to me the fool in this instance, who, you know, a person who jumps head over, what's the phrase itself now, my mind is going blank, who leaps before they look, who is super excited about things to the point that they don't really think about the consequences of them, it suggests to me that maybe in certain moments you're jumping too far into the High Priestess. And again, to go too far into the High Priestess would be psychosis. It would be to dissolve your subjectivity and what makes you an understandable person. And so I think that this warning, and I don't think it's too serious. Again, I think the ace is really what is helping you here and is keeping you tethered. You do have this commitment towards practicality. You do have this commitment towards how this can help you and those around you in tangible ways. But do keep in mind that there is this warning that, to fling yourself too far into that kind of situation is going to help no one, right? If the whole point is to help people and you fling yourself too far into it, it's hard to come back the further you fling yourself. Maybe that's the way to think about it. I probably said this better the first time I recorded this video. Now I can't remember. So let's just move on to advice then. The Queen of Cups is the advice. And again, I'm not sure what the Golden Dawn attribution is for her. I think of her as Scorpio. And the title that I give her is the Empath. And I think that it nicely ties up everything else that we've seen in this. The best way to make use of what's going on in your life right now is to seek out those connections in other people. If your whole sort of life is being dominated right now by these explorations of deep-seated structures of the human mind and what makes people tick and things like that, what better place to really actually discover those things than in the people who live them, is kind of the suggestion that I get from this card. The Queen of Cups, unlike the King of Cups, who's seeking to lead and to some degree to dominate, but certainly to be in power, the Queen of Cups is more about making connections, to empathically understand others, to sort of walk in their shoes. That's the real secret, right? That's the real place to understand how emotions work and how affect plays upon and through humanity, is to understand it through people themselves. So continue to try and to connect with others and honor the real-world connection that you have with them. And again, this comes back to this notion that if you want to be with others and you're starting to really make that connection to other people, then empathy is really the way to do that. What better way to make sure that this comes to be, that this manifests fully, since it's just beginning to, than to really make those kinds of connections with others. And that's why I attribute her to Scorpio. It's that kind of deep, deep emotion, the still waters run deep approach to other individuals. It's not all about study, right? It's about the people who are there with you. So, hopefully you found that to be useful. Again, I've never done an online, video reading before without the person present, so hopefully this was satisfying to you. Leave me a comment if you what parts rang true. If none of it rang true, then let me know, and then that'll be valuable feedback too. And then for those of you who are not Prince of Cups 518, thank you for slogging through this video. Hopefully you found it useful as well. It does give you kind of a glimpse into my system of readings that isn't as cold, maybe, as some of the more philosophically oriented videos that I've been posting lately. So yeah, that is all. I think my hourglass is, well, it's about halfway through, but we'll say it's running out of time, because that would be a really artistic and professional way of ending this video. Yeah, leave me any comments or questions that you may have, whether or not you are Prince of Cups 518, and I will try and answer them in the comments box. Thanks!